When the snow falls, I am proud of you. This west-facing window in my Chicago apartment gets the last of the afternoon light, pale and weak against the swirling snow outside. I pull the old wool blanket higher on my shoulders. The heat is on, blasting through the vents, but a deep chill has settled in my bones. The silence in this apartment is a heavy thing, broken only by the occasional gurgle of the radiator, a sound that only makes the quiet feel louder, more oppressive. 10 years. This apartment, this window, this silence, they've become the fixed backdrop of my life. The old walnut box on the side table is open. It doesn't hold jewelry, but stacks of clipped newspaper articles and printed web pages, some yellowed and brittle at the edges. My fingers trace the headlines: rising star, gaming prodigy, reigning champion, always next to a picture of his young, sharp, unsmiling face. But my eyes always drift to the smaller print, the words tucked away in the paragraphs or listed at the end: player reportedly receiving treatment for recurring wrist strain, high-intensity training leads to neck discomfort, team monitoring closely. These are the things I truly collect. The glow of the trophies is too bright, I only see the cracks and wounds hidden behind his glory. A familiar tightness blooms in my chest. I curl my fingers against it, breathing slowly. The doctor's words are still there, cold and final. Late stage. Spread. Not much time. I feel nothing, as if he were talking about someone else. These 10 years, each day has felt stolen, a weary debt. There's just something left unfinished, a loose thread in my heart. The memory surfaces, unbidden. Another gloomy afternoon, but not quiet, filled instead with the sharp tang of anger. Shards of glass glittered viciously on the floor. It was his father's favorite picture, him in his marine dress blues, smiling that easy smile. Now the frame was shattered, the glass webbing across his face, distorting his grin into something strange and ugly. Playing video games isn't a real career. You're throwing your future away, Kev. Don't you see that? My voice was shrill, a sound I didn't recognize, each word a weapon. He stood opposite me, 18, already taller than his father, straight as a young oak, but his eyes were all defiance and raw fury, a cornered animal. He pointed at the wreckage of the photo on the floor, his chest heaving, and yelled the words I still hear perfectly. You don't get it. All you care about is your middle-class respectability. You'll never measure up to him. If Dad were here, he'd understand. The air froze. The heat on my own cheek was from the slap I'd delivered. He stared at me, his hand to his face, the shock in his eyes hardening into something cold and distant. He didn't say another word, just turned and stormed down the hall to his room. The slam of his door shook the walls. That slam seemed to shut out the last of the warmth this house would ever hold. That was the day he left. Dragging that duffel bag with his computer and a few clothes, without a backward glance. And I never picked up the phone to call him, never sent a text. 10 years. A whole decade. This chair by the west window became my watchtower. I watched the oak tree outside bud, turn green, blaze yellow, and shed its leaves. I watched the neighbors' kids come around for Halloween, their house blaze with Christmas lights. Only here, time stood still, frozen in that moment of the slap and his words, you'll never measure up to him. The home health aide, Maria, comes in, her steps soft, her face arranged in a professionally kind smile. How are we feeling today, Ms. Williams? Time for your medication. I grunt in response, my gaze not leaving the window. Maria busies herself with the pill organizer and a glass of water, trying for a cheerful tone. You know, Ms. Williams, I think the Big Esports Championship finals are on today. They say one of the American players, a Kevin Williams, is from around here originally. He's supposed to be amazing, might win it all again. My heart constricts. Kevin. My son. He's reached a place so far away, even the home health aide knows his name. Oh, I hear my dry voice reply. Maria hands me the pills and water, watches me swallow them in silence. She hesitates, then says gently, Ms. Williams, I see you here alone so much. If there's anything on your mind, or anyone you'd like to see, maybe we could try to reach out to your family. Family. I try to smile, but my face feels stiff. My only family is probably in some massive stadium in Los Angeles, under blinding spotlights and the roar of a crowd, lifting another trophy. And between us lies an entire continent, 10 years of silence, and the sting of a palm on a young man's cheek. A vicious cramp twists deep in my gut, worse than any before, a hot, grinding fist. A low moan escapes me, and a cold sweat instantly beads on my forehead. Maria's face changes. She's at my side in an instant, supporting me, one hand jabbing at the call button. A flurry of activity. The doctor comes in, checks me, speaks in low tones. The pain is a tide pulling me under. I know this is it. The string pulled taut for so long is finally snapping. In a lull, I grab Maria's wrist, my grip surprisingly strong, my nails digging into her skin. My voice is a ragged whisper. Please help me. Maria leans down, her ear close to my lips. Record a video for my son. Tell him. Mom. Mom always. A fit of coughing racks me, fire in my lungs. Maria looks at me, her eyes full of pity and a flicker of panic, but she nods. She pulls out her own phone, fumbles with the camera app, her hand trembling slightly as she points the lens at me. The woman on the screen is gaunt, hollow-eyed, her hair thin and lifeless. Is this the last image I'll leave him with? I try to shape my lips into a smile, like the kind, gentle mothers in movies, but the muscles won't obey. I just stare into that small lens, as if I can see through it, all the way to him, shining under those bright lights thousands of miles away. My breath is shallow, my voice broken, each word a final effort. Kev. I say his name. The name I've whispered in my mind 1,000 times, now coming out as a sigh. Mom. Mom has always been proud of you. With that last word, all strength leaves me. I slump back, the world darkening at the edges, a curtain falling. I think I hear Maria's voice, thick with tears, and the sound from the TV, or is it my imagination, a roaring crowd, an announcer screaming in ecstasy? Did he win? Good. It's the last thought I have as the darkness takes me. Good. What happened next, Maria told me through her tears. She said that shaky, silent, 10-second video was passed through channels, somehow finding its way to a staff member who handed Kev his phone, just as the award ceremony was beginning. The massive arena, pulsing with light and laser beams, all focused on the center of the stage. He stood there in his team jersey with its sponsor logos, an American flag draped over his shoulders, holding that sleek, modern trophy high over his head. His young face was pale under the glare, sweat-damp hair sticking to his forehead, his expression a mix of post-battle exhaustion and the unassailable triumph of the victor. He tilted his head back, accepting the worship of the crowd. The noise was a physical force. Then, his phone, probably just returned to him, vibrated in his pocket. He looked down, swiped the screen open. There was my face, gaunt and fading, and those last words, pushed out with the final breath of a life, traveling across the country, through 10 years of silence. Maria said in that instant, every expression on his face, the triumphant joy, the youthful pride, even his signature look of mild contempt for the competition, shattered. It was like watching bulletproof glass spiderweb from a single, perfect impact. He stood frozen, as if all the roaring sound in the stadium had been sucked into a vacuum. The only thing real was the tiny screen, and the ghost whisper, "Mom has always been proud of you." His tall frame swayed violently, as if the solid stage had become the deck of a ship in a storm. Clang! A sharp, metallic crash, amplified by the microphone on his chest, ripped through the arena, startling the crowd into a momentary hush. The trophy, the thing that had held 10 years of his youth, his sweat, his glory, and all his rebellion, all his need to prove me wrong, slipped from his suddenly nerveless fingers and hit the hard stage floor. Pieces of silvery plastic skittered everywhere. Like a hailstorm, or 1,000 frozen tears, all shattering at once, impossible to gather. He didn't move to pick them up. He didn't even look down at the wreckage of what he'd fought for. He just stood there, rigid, facing the thousands of confused spectators, the flashing cameras, the world that had just crowned him, and now felt utterly meaningless. Then, the young man known as the Slayer, in his digital worlds, the boy forever 18, and slamming a door in my memory, brought his hands up and clamped them over his face. His broad shoulders crumpled, a mountain collapsing in on itself. A sound, choked and suppressed for so long but now tearing free from the deepest part of him, a raw, gut-wrenching sob, escaped through his fingers. It was the sound of a child, utterly and completely lost. He came back to handle my ashes. Maria told me he refused all help. He took the simple, cold urn himself and sat with it by this west-facing window, the one that watches the snow fall, for the entire night. He didn't cry. He didn't speak. He just sat there. A young statue, abandoned in the wilderness of time, gathering the silent dust of 10 lost years.